Look around you. Right now, someone is taking their last breath. Not in a movie, not in a book. In real life, somewhere in this world, someone just lost their shot at love, at redemption, at forgiveness, at making that one phone call, at becoming who they could have been if they had just started. And the worst part, they thought they had more time, but you're still here, you're still breathing, you're still walking around like it doesn't matter. Like this life, this one brutal, beautiful, unpromised life can be put on hold until the perfect moment arrives, until you feel ready, until it feels safe. Let me ask you something. Who told you that you could afford to wait? Who told you that wasting time is harmless? You think you're tired because you're busy. You're not. You're tired because your soul is screaming at you to wake up, to stop living on autopilot, to stop lying to yourself. You say you're stuck, but you're not stuck. You're scared. You're not lost. You're hiding. You think you have time? No. What you have is a life, and it's running out. Pause. So let's get very real. Very quickly. What if I told you that everything you complain about, the job you hate, the people who drain you, the voice in your head that keeps tearing you down, all of it is something you've chosen to tolerate? What if wasting your life isn't something that just happens to you? What if it's something you actively do? Every day you stay small. Every day you stay silent. Every day you stay safe. What if the life you want isn't out there waiting? It's in here, buried underneath every excuse you've ever made. Let's talk about it. Because this is not a rehearsal. You don't get a do-over. You don't get to rewind the clock and say, let me try that again. You don't get to skip the boring parts or fast forward through the pain. This isn't a video game. There's no reset button. This is your life. And every single second is ticking away whether you're showing up for it or not. That truth should haunt you, but in the best possible way. Because if you can really let that sink in, not as some nice motivational quote, but as a bone-deep reality, it'll change how you move through the world. It'll change what you say yes to, what you tolerate, and who you allow to take space in your life. When you really get that this is it, your one shot, it becomes a lot harder to waste it on things that don't matter. But most people don't want to hear that. It's too uncomfortable. So they tell themselves stories to soften the truth. They say things like, I'll start next year. It's not the right time. I'm too old. It's too late. Or the classic, I'm just waiting for the right moment. Let me tell you something. The right moment never shows up. It's not coming. No one's gonna knock on your door and hand you permission to live fully. That permission, you give it to yourself, or you don't. And every time you don't, you waste a piece of your life. You know what's wild? Most people don't even realize they're doing it. They go through the motions, wake up, hit snooze, get dressed in clothes they don't even like, to drive to jobs they can't stand, to be around people they secretly resent. Then they go home, numb out on screens, call it winding down, go to bed, wake up, repeat. That's not living. That's surviving. And you weren't put here just to survive. But here's the thing. Living fully isn't about being reckless, or quitting your job on a whim, or moving to a new city just because it sounds cool. Living fully means you refuse to let your life be controlled by fear, comfort, or other people's expectations. It means you get clear on what matters, and you go after it like your life depends on it. Because it does. So let me ask you a hard question, one you probably don't want to answer. If you died tomorrow, would you be proud of how you lived today? I'm not asking if your Instagram looked good. I'm not asking if you were productive or polite or praised. I'm asking if you were real, if you were present, if you were awake in your own life. Most people would say no, but they'll convince themselves it's okay because they assume there's time to fix it, time to pivot, time to get it right later. But there's no guarantee of later. There's no refund for time wasted. You don't get to wake up one day and hit undo on all the years you gave to things that never deserved you. You don't get a refund on the love you didn't give, the forgiveness you withheld, the ideas you never spoke aloud. You don't get a do-over on the dreams you buried under other people's approval. And let's be honest, deep down, you know this. You've seen it. You've watched someone die too young. You felt time slip away. You've looked back at moments and thought, damn, I wish I'd done that differently. But instead of changing, you numb it. You distract yourself with noise, social media, binge watching drama that isn't even yours. You fill your schedule with everything except what actually matters, then wonder why you feel empty. Here's a hard truth. Your life is not going to wait for you to be ready. It's not going to pause while you gather the courage. It's moving forward, with or without your permission. And if you don't claim it, it will pass you by. So what do? You start paying attention. You stop pretending you have forever. You stop handing over your time to things that drain your energy, your passion, your fire. You take responsibility not just for your choices, but for your lack of choices. Because wasting your life doesn't always look like laziness. Sometimes it looks like busyness. Sometimes it looks like success. Sometimes it looks like checking every box on a list that wasn't even yours to begin with. You can have a full calendar and still feel empty inside. You can impress everyone in the room and still feel like a fraud. So let me say it one more time, you don't get a do-over. That means today, right now, is not something to be casually discarded. It's a chance. It's an opportunity. It's a moment where you can choose to stop going through the motions and start showing up. That might mean having a hard conversation. It might mean quitting something that's killing your spirit. It might mean starting something that terrifies you. It might just mean looking in the mirror and finally being honest with yourself. Whatever it is, do it. Stop waiting. Stop wasting. Because when the clock runs out, it's not the things you did that will haunt you. It's all the things you never dared to do. This is your life, and no one else is going to live it for you. Let's get something straight right now. Life is not supposed to be easy. That's a lie someone sold you, and worse, you bought it. You were taught to believe that if something is hard, it must be wrong. That struggle means failure. That discomfort is a red flag. So the second things get messy, or painful, or uncertain, you pull back, you check out, you convince yourself you're not ready, or worse, you decide it's just not meant to be. But here's what no one told you. The pain isn't proof that you're off track. Sometimes it's the sign that you're right where you're supposed to be. You don't grow in the calm. You grow in the chaos. You don't become stronger when everything goes your way. You become stronger when it doesn't. Stop asking life to go easy on you. Start asking yourself to get tougher. Because the truth is, every single person who has ever become anything worth remembering has been dragged through the fire, not around it, through it. They've been rejected, humiliated, underestimated, broken. They've fallen hard, over and over, and every time they got back up, not because it was easy, but because they refused to stay down. Hardship is the training ground. It's the crucible that strips away the fluff and reveals what you're really made of. But most people avoid it. They avoid failure like it's fatal. They avoid pain like it's punishment. And every time they do, they throw away the chance to get stronger, wiser, sharper. You want to build resilience. Go through something that doesn't give you a choice. You want to build courage. Face the thing that terrifies you. You want confidence. Try, fail, and show up. That's how it's earned. Not by reading books. Not by listening to motivational podcasts. Not by sitting in a corner hoping the world gets gentler. It's earned through resistance. Let me ask you, when was the last time you let yourself get uncomfortable on purpose? Not because life forced it, but because you knew on the other side of discomfort was your next level. See, people say they want growth, but what they really want is change that feels safe. And there is no such thing. Growth will scare you. It will stretch you. It will demand more from you than you think you can give. And here's the kicker, that's the point. Because when you realize that pain doesn't destroy you, but builds you, it stops being something to fear. It becomes a tool. Hardship is a mirror. It shows you what's real. It shows you where you're strong and where you're fragile, and both are valuable. But only if you're brave enough to look. The most powerful people you know, truly powerful, not just loud, got that way because they were forged in hardship. They earned their voice in silence. They found their strength in suffering. They didn't ask life to be easy. They asked themselves to rise. And you can too. But you've got to stop seeing pain as the enemy. You got to stop waiting for perfect conditions. Because the people who get what they want in life are not the ones who wait. They're the ones who act, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. You know what hardship really does? It forces you to focus. When everything is burning, you learn to see clearly. You stop worrying about what people think. You stop second-guessing your value. You stop wasting time. Hardship demands a decision. Shrink or expand. Hide or step up. Break down or break through. And every time you choose the harder path, you build something inside yourself that no one can take away. Not critics, not rejection, not failure, not fear. You start to understand something most people never will. Resilience is built, not born. You create it in real time, with real scars. So if you're going through hell right now, good. That means you're still in the fight. That means you're not done yet. That means life is giving you the raw material to become something unstoppable. Don't waste it wishing things were easier. Don't dull your edge because someone else is uncomfortable with your fire. Don't ask, why me? Ask, what now? Because here's the truth. The worst things that ever happened to you could be the best things if you use them. If you stop playing the victim, if you take everything that tried to break you and use it as fuel, that heartbreak, that loss, that betrayal, that failure, it didn't ruin you. It revealed you. It showed you that you can survive more than you thought, that you're still standing, that you're not done. You want a weapon? Use your story. Use your scars. Use your pain. Stop waiting to be perfect and start being powerful. This world does not reward easy. It rewards resilience. And the good news? Resilience is yours to build. So the next time life knocks the wind out of you, don't just crawl away and lick your wounds. Stand up, eyes forward, shoulders back, and say, is that all you've got? Because once you realize hardship isn't a curse, it's your greatest weapon, there is nothing, and I mean nothing, that can stop you. Let me tell you something that might sting a little. Playing small doesn't make you humble. It makes you invisible. And it's not noble. It's not polite. It's not selfless. It's a lie you've been telling yourself to avoid the responsibility that comes with being powerful. You were not put on this earth to shrink so other people could feel tall. You were not born to edit yourself down, water yourself down, or dim your light so nobody else feels threatened by it. That's not kindness. That's self-betrayal. But I get it. You've been taught to be nice, to keep the peace, to not be too much. You've been told to stay in line, stay quiet, stay agreeable. And somewhere along the way, you started to believe that your voice, your power, your presence was a problem to be managed, not a force to be unleashed. You've been taught that shining too bright makes people uncomfortable. And maybe it does, but that's not your problem. Because every time you play small just to fit in, you pay for it. Not them. You do. In regret, in resentment, in silence, in that aching feeling in your chest that whispers, this isn't who I am. And you want to know the worst part? Most people don't even realize they're doing it. Playing small has become their comfort zone. They've worn a mask for so long, they've convinced themselves it's their real face. They've adjusted the volume on their own lives so many times that they forgot what full volume even sounds like. Let me be blunt. It's time to stop. Because shrinking doesn't protect you. It imprisons you. It locks away your gifts, your ideas, your leadership, your truth. And the world doesn't benefit from the version of you that's edited for everyone's comfort. It needs the real thing. Raw, loud, fully expressed. But here's where it gets tough. Playing small isn't always obvious. Sometimes it looks like procrastination. Sometimes it looks like over-explaining yourself. Sometimes it looks like letting others speak first and staying silent, even when you know you have something to say. Sometimes it looks like saying yes when everything in your gut is screaming no. You know what that is? It's fear. Fear of judgment. Fear of rejection. Fear of being too different. But here's the truth you need to hear. You will be judged no matter what, whether you stay quiet or speak up, whether you fail or succeed, whether you play small or go big. Someone will always have something to say. So if you're going to be judged either way, you might as well be judged for being yourself. Because let me ask you, who are you helping when you silence yourself? Who wins when you don't show up fully? Certainly not the people who need your courage, and not the people who would have been inspired by your story. Not the ones looking for a reason to believe they can rise. 2. You're not protecting anyone by hiding. You're robbing them. You're robbing them of the chance to see what's possible when someone stands tall and unapologetic. Do you know what happens when you stop playing small? You become magnetic. You draw the right people in, the ones who aren't threatened by your strength, but inspired by it. The ones who don't want you to shrink, but to rise. You stop attracting comfort and start attracting purpose. But it starts with one decision: to stop abandoning yourself to keep others comfortable. You are not born to blend in. You were born to take up space. And no, that doesn't mean arrogance. That doesn't mean steamrolling people or yelling to be heard. That's not power. True power doesn't need to shout. It just is. It's felt when you walk into a room and you know who you are. When you speak with clarity because you trust your own voice. When you stop waiting for permission and start acting on conviction. That kind of power terrifies people who haven't found their own yet. And some of them will try to shrink you because of it. But you don't owe them your silence. You don't owe them your dimmed down version. And if they can't handle the real you, they're not your people. Here's what most people don't realize. Playing small never actually keeps you safe. It just keeps you stuck. It keeps you dependent on external approval. It keeps you fragile, waiting for someone to say, "It's your turn now." You don't need anyone to hand you your turn. You take it with your full chest, with your full story, with the full force of who you are. You have dreams? Say them out loud. You have opinions? Speak them with your spine straight. You have goals that scare the hell out of you? Good. That means they're worth chasing. Stop apologizing for wanting more. Stop diluting yourself so someone else can feel secure. That's not your job. Your job is to rise. And in doing so, to give others permission to rise too. So the next time you feel the urge to play small, to hold back, to deflect praise, to pretend you're less than you are, ask yourself this: who does this serve? Because the truth is, you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to lead, to create, to challenge, to rise. And every time you choose to step into that power, unapologetically and unafraid, you remind the world of something it desperately needs to see. That it's okay to be bold. It's okay to be different. It's okay to take up space. And it's more than okay, it's necessary. Because when you stop playing small, you don't just change your own life. You light the way for everyone else who's been waiting for permission to do the same. So be the first, be the loudest, be the fullest version of yourself. And never ever shrink again. Your mind is your kingdom, and whether it becomes your prison or your power source is entirely up to you. Most people don't know that. They live their lives as if their thoughts are facts, as if whatever voice happens to be loudest in their head at the moment must be the truth. But it's not. It's just a story, one you've repeated so many times, it started to sound real. And the real tragedy, you didn't even write it. Your mind has been shaped by everyone but you. Your parents, your teachers, your trauma, your culture, your fears, your environment. Layer after layer of other people's beliefs stacked on top of your core, until one day you look in the mirror and can't tell where you end, and their programming begins. But let me make something crystal clear. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who hears them. You are not the storm. You are the sky. And the moment you take ownership of your inner world, everything outside of you starts to shift. But that requires one thing most people avoid: discipline of the mind. Because a powerful mind doesn't just happen. It's built. It's designed. It's trained. If you don't take command of your thinking, someone else will. And if you're not intentional about the story you tell yourself, Every day, you'll live inside someone else's narrative. A story where you're too late, too much, not enough, too broken, too slow, too ambitious, too loud. Sound familiar? These aren't facts. These are inherited beliefs. And if you don't question them, they become your limit. So here's the deal. If you want to change your life, stop starting with your habits, your calendar, your job, your bank account. Start with your mind. Because if your thoughts don't change, nothing else will stick. You'll just rebuild the same cage in a different location. This is where real power begins. It begins the moment you decide to become the architect of your own inner world, to tear out the old foundations of doubt and fear and shame, and pour new concrete, discipline, clarity, conviction. Because that's what a powerful mind is built on. Not fake confidence, not blind optimism, but truth, chosen truth, reinforced with relentless repetition, day after day, until it becomes your baseline. You want to become unstoppable. Control your focus. You want peace? Control what you let in. You want clarity? Control the narrative playing in your own head. And listen, this doesn't mean you never have negative thoughts. We all do. That voice that tells you you're failing, that you're not good enough, that you'll never get there. It doesn't go away. But here's the shift. You stop obeying it. You stop giving it power. You stop letting it drive the car. You learn to recognize it for what it is. Noise, old programming, unconscious conditioning trying to keep you in survival mode when your soul is begging you to evolve. You learn to talk back. You learn to rewire on purpose, even when it feels unnatural. You plant new thoughts, like seeds. I can handle this. I am capable. I don't need permission. My past doesn't define me. I am not here to play small. And at first, you won't believe them. That's normal. Say them anyway, because the mind believes what it hears most. If all it hears is doubt, it will give you doubt. If all it hears is power, it will give you power. This is why being the architect of your own mind is not optional. It's essential. Because whatever owns your mind owns your life. If fear is running the show, you'll live a fearful life. You'll avoid risks. You'll sabotage success. You'll settle for less and call it gratitude, just to make yourself feel better. But if you take the reins, if you choose your thoughts like an architect chooses every beam, every line, every material, deliberately and with vision, then your life will begin to rise from the ground up, solid, unshakable. And here's something else most people miss. The strongest minds are not the ones that never fall apart. They're the ones that know how to rebuild. So if your mind has been a battlefield lately, if you feel overwhelmed, lost, spiraling, good. Because that means you're awake. That means it's time to stop being a tenant in your own mind and start being the builder. It means it's time to redesign the architecture of how you think. You don't wait until your life looks perfect to fix your thinking. You fix your thinking first, and your life follows. Because everything, your relationships, your career, your health, your peace, your success, all of it is downstream from your mind. You are the gatekeeper. You choose what stays. You choose what gets rewritten. But you have to stop waiting for the world to make it easy. It won't. You have to decide that mastering your mind is non-negotiable, that your mental freedom is worth more than the comfort of old beliefs. This is the real work. The daily, unsexy, ruthless work of challenging your inner voice, of refusing to be at the mercy of every thought that floats through your brain. That's where transformation happens. Not in one dramatic moment, but in 1,000 quiet decisions. To think differently, to speak differently, to walk through the world as the designer of your life, not the victim of it. So ask yourself, what would change if I actually believed I could rewire the way I think? What would become possible if I stopped taking direction from fear and started taking direction from truth? Because the truth is this: the strongest weapon you have, stronger than talent, luck, or background, is a trained, focused, unshakable mind. And no one else can build it for you. So build it like your life depends on it, because it does. There comes a point when you have to ask yourself one of the most important questions you'll ever face. What am I really building here? Because whether you realize it or not, Every day you're building something. With every choice, every word, every moment of effort, you're laying bricks. The question is, are you building a legacy or just collecting likes? We live in a world obsessed with being seen. Everyone's trying to go viral. Everyone's chasing numbers, approval, attention, applause, as if that's the measure of a meaningful life. As if the number of strangers who double tap your highlight reel somehow validates who you are. But let me say this loud, approval is not the same as impact. Likes fade, algorithms change, platforms die. But legacy, real legacy, doesn't disappear when the spotlight moves on. It doesn't vanish when the comments stop rolling in. It lives beyond you. Legacy is what people say about you when you're not in the room. Legacy is what echoes when you're gone. It's the way you showed up, the lives you changed, the standards you held, the courage you modeled, the truth you spoke, the things you built when no one was watching. But most people never get there. You know why? Because legacy requires sacrifice. It requires discipline. It requires you to zoom out and play the long game when everyone else is addicted to the next 5 minutes. Chasing likes is easy. You can post something flashy, follow trends, say what people want to hear, and get a dopamine hit. But chasing impact, that's different. That's quiet. That's thankless. That's choosing to do the right thing instead of the popular thing. That's showing up consistently, even when nobody's clapping for you. Legacy doesn't care how popular you are. It cares about who you became. So ask yourself, what values am I building on? What am I teaching the people around me through how I live? Not just what I say. Because people are watching, whether you like it or not. And they're not watching your feed, they're watching your example. Do you want to be remembered as the person who looked the part or the one who lived it? Because there's a huge difference between image and integrity, between performance and purpose, between noise and substance. We don't need more influencers, we need more leaders. We need more people willing to do the hard things when it's inconvenient. People willing to stand for something when it's unpopular. People who measure success not by how wide their reach is, but by how deep their impact goes. If you're constantly adjusting who you are to get more approval, more applause, more validation, you're selling your soul for scraps. You're cashing in your voice for likes that mean nothing. 5 seconds later, and eventually, you'll realize something heartbreaking. The people you were trying to impress, they were never invested in you anyway. But the people who will remember your name long after you're gone, they're watching something else. They're watching how you live. They're watching what you stood for. They're watching the consistency, the character, the choices you made when no one was cheering. You want to make a difference? Then start thinking legacy now. Don't wait until you're older, more successful, or more ready. Start showing up with legacy in mind today, in how you speak, in how you work, in how you treat people who can do nothing for you, in how you handle failure, in how you rise. And yes, legacy takes longer. It's not instant gratification. It doesn't come with applause. It doesn't hand out awards, but it's real. It lasts. It shapes people's lives in ways likes never will. So if you're going to spend your time, your energy, your life building something, make it worth building. Build something that outlives you. Build something you'd be proud to hand to the next generation. And don't fall for the illusion that your worth is measured by numbers on a screen. Don't spend your one and only life chasing popularity when you were born to pursue purpose. Likes are about attention. Legacy is about intention. Likes are about the moment. Legacy is about the mission. You weren't put here just to be seen. You were put here to build, to lead, to move people, to matter. So stop asking, how do I get more followers? And start asking, how do I make this count? What would change if you made every decision through the lens of legacy? Would you speak differently? Would you show up with more integrity? Would you stop waiting to be picked and start acting like someone worth remembering? Because that's what this is really about. Not fame, not followers, not fleeting applause. It's about knowing that when your time is up, You didn't just exist. You lived. You gave your all. You told the truth. You built something solid. You reached back and pulled others forward. You walked your talk when it was hard, not just when it was convenient. And that is a life worth fighting for. So choose legacy. Choose the long road. Choose to be unforgettable for the right reasons. Because the likes, they're temporary, but the impact, that's forever. Now you've heard the truth. You don't get a do-over. You don't get to hit rewind and fix the time you wasted, the dreams you shelved, or the moments you spent trying to fit into a life that was never meant for you. But you do get this moment, right now, and what you do with it will determine everything that follows. No more waiting for clarity. No more waiting for permission. No more apologizing for wanting more, being more, becoming more. Hardship is not your enemy, it's your fuel. Your pain, your past, your struggle. That's your raw material. That's what forges real strength. The kind that doesn't come from ease, but from rising again and again when everything in you wanted to quiet. So stop playing small. Stop shrinking to fit into someone else's comfort zone. Stop hiding behind politeness, fear, or perfectionism. The world doesn't need your edited self. It needs the bold, unfiltered, fully awake version. Be the architect of your mind. Don't hand the keys of your mental real estate to fear, doubt, or the opinions of people who will never live your life. Take command. Rewire your thinking. Refuse to be a prisoner of your own thoughts. Because the strongest prison has no bars. It's built in silence, with excuses and self-betrayal. And when the noise gets loud, when everyone's chasing validation, chasing likes, chasing empty praise, you hold the line. You don't chase applause. You build a legacy. You show up for something bigger than your ego. You make choices that your future self will thank you for. You create a life so grounded in purpose that even when the lights go out, your impact stays. So let me ask you again, are you going to waste your life? Are you going to keep sitting on your potential, numbing your power, trading time for comfort and calling it safety? Or are you finally going to rise? Not tomorrow, not when it's perfect, not when you feel ready. Now, because your life isn't waiting for you. It's already happening. Make sure it's one worth remembering.